Good morning and welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show, the only show about chronic pain where you can call in live. I'm your host, Joseph of Borg. I'm here every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Time. I look forward to talking to you. Good morning and welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show. My name is Joseph of Borg. I come to you every Sunday morning from Las Vegas, Nevada, 8 a.m. Pacific Time to discuss anything and everything related to chronic pain. Up and running with my tech today. Seems like everything's working pretty well. Got some coffee. Hope you do too. Want to say thank you for joining me. Appreciate you guys who do come in every Sunday morning. And if you catch it on the replay, obviously you're invited to join us live. Call in and talk to me live if you want, 725-333-4140. You can talk to me live in the chat, obviously. If you happen to miss this live recording, you can either call and leave a message. I don't really have a voicemail set up, but if you leave a message, I check them a couple times a week on that phone number. Also, you can always email me at josephofborg@gmail.com. So, without further ado, I want to welcome you and thank you for tuning in. My format here is pretty fast and loose. I try and stay current and keep one eye on the chat. It is a one-man show, so I put it together as we go. I usually have a little topic that I plan to discuss, and then if I get some questions and some live interaction, I'm not afraid to go off script, so to speak. I try to come up with topics that are of interest to you guys. Last week I talked about coming to grips with your situation, coping with it, grieving who you used to be. So if that's something that pertains to you, if you're new to the chronic pain journey, so to speak, you might want to go and check out last week's show. That said, I'm going to plow ahead here into my topic for this week. I really wanted to come on and discuss how having chronic pain is different from having other chronic illnesses and or diseases. And one of the biggest things I think is I don't know of any other medical condition other than maybe pregnancy that anyone ever dares question the person who claims to have the condition. If you're pregnant and it was unexpected, somebody might want to see a test, depending on your relationship with the people involved. Some kind of proof might be requested. Other than that, I can't think of a single condition. If you tell somebody you've got MS or if you tell somebody you've got cancer, nobody questions you or wants to see a doctor's report or doubts your word. But somehow, if you've got chronic pain, it seems like we're suspect by our very nature. And I get it, I guess, to a point. Most of us, like myself, look pretty normal. We can go out and in public and you can't notice, that there's something specifically wrong with us. I've had people give me a hard time about using my handicap parking to the point that I tried to overcome it because it used to piss me off and I used to get defensive and combative with them. But now I try to use it as a teaching moment that, yeah, I might look fine, but that doesn't mean I am fine. So I started carrying my MRI images right on my cell phone, and I'll bust them out and show them, say, see, look. And I mean, my spinal conditions are bad enough that any idiot can look at the images and go, wow, that don't look right. And just try not to take the bait. But, even our closest friends and family members have a hard time. And I've talked before about the idea that it's difficult for people to get their head around for several different reasons. Number one, I think, is everybody has had pain. they don't get that chronic pain is different than just having pain. We've all been through some type of experience where somebody's, you tell them you've got back issues and they're, oh, hey, yeah, I was moving one time and I pulled a muscle and oh my God, for 3 days it was just, they got no idea. It's not the same ballpark. It's not even the same fucking sport. Let's be real. There's different levels of pain. It's like somebody who's bit their cheek thinking that they know what it's like to have a root canal. It's not the same ballpark. It's not the same game even. So, um, I think that's part of the thing is everybody's had pain. Not everybody's had cancer or MS or whatever other disease you might have. So they think, oh, you've got pain. I know what that's like, even though they've got no real idea. And I often try and tell pain patients that we have to cut people a certain amount of slack because they don't know. They may think they know, but we know they don't know, even if they know they don't know. Having chronic pain is a lot like any other life changing event. It's like the death of a parent, the birth of a child. Until it happens to you, you don't really understand it. You don't know. Even if you think you don't know. And of course, I think a lot of times people say stupid stuff with the best intentions. And I think as chronic pain patients, we have to try to cut them some slack uh, or just address the issue politely. I've told my friends, look, when you see me, you don't have to ask how I'm doing because there's no real update. You can just say, hey, it's good to see you. I can say it's good to be seen. We don't have to talk about my illness every time we get together because it's not changing, it's not getting better. Now, when people are leaving a conversation, they often have hey, I hope you feel better. I hope you're doing better. Or, I hope whatever. I don't really think they're disregarding the idea that you're not going to get better. I really think they mean to say something uh, to wish you progress or to wish you as good a time as you can have. Um, Even if they know you're not going to get better or that your situation is permanent or like mine, it's degenerative, they don't know what to say. I mean, nobody's going to say, hey, hang in there, and do the best you can, you poor bastard. It's just not considered polite, I guess, for lack of a better term. And here's an analogy I'm going to make it to having lost people in my life. When you are the grieving party, you've lost a parent, a sibling, or whatever, people will say ignorant shit because they don't know what else to say, and silence tends to be uncomfortable. They'll tell you, if there's anything I can do. Well, no, there's nothing you can do. They're dead. Okay, that's what you want to say is, no, you simple bastard, there's nothing you can do. They're dead. Okay, but you stand there and you smile and you nod and because they don't know what to say. They're not trying to be offensive. They want to say something to try and relate to you, to try and interact with you in a positive way. And if you are oversensitive to it and you take it to heart and you let it piss you off when somebody says something like that, or in our case, hey, I hope you're feeling better soon, or I hope you get better. Okay, they're just trying to say something. We've got to take some responsibility for our own demeanor. I know it's ignorant. I know the shit gets old. Believe me. Um, but at the end of the day, if somebody's just saying something to wish you well, take the intention, let it slide. Your relationship is worth more than you being right. Okay. A lot of times in arguments, I've been married 24 years now, and I've learned that sometimes in arguments, you can be right and you can force the other person to see that you're right or where they've made some small transgression. They're not trying to be insulting. They're not trying to diminish your uh, condition. They just don't know what else to say. We've all done some shit, hey, I've done this one. Okay. Let's use an analogy most of us can relate to. I used to go to movies. I haven't been to a movie theater in a long, long time. I like to go to the drive-in because I can get in and out of the car. I can smoke, whatever. We bring some Chinese food or some Subway. We go catch the movie. We live in Vegas. The drive-ins open year-round, which is wonderful. Usually they got 2 first-run movies for $7. You can't beat it. Um, and I'm just more comfortable in my car than those shitty theater seats as a rule, and I can get up and down as I need to. Um, but we've all been going to a movie. You buy your ticket, you go up to the concession stand, and you decide make your life financial decision over whether or not you're gonna pay your electric bill or have a box of popcorn that's the most grossly inflated product probably on the planet. You get your $40 popcorn and soda, and the gal says, "Enjoy your movie," and you go, "You too." She ain't going to see no movie, but she doesn't lose her shit and go, "Look, I'm not going to see a movie. I'm at work. What do you make?" We've got to cut some people some slack for things that we know they can't relate or understand. Otherwise, you're just going to walk around pissed off all the time, and it's a simple fact. Stress raises your pain. I want to say it's cortisol is the hormone that stress creates, which causes inflammation and whatnot, and drives your pain higher. So literally, by getting pissed off and all bunched up and all stressed out over something that, let's be honest, really doesn't matter in your life, all you're going to do is cause yourself unnecessary pain and suffering because it actually can make your pain worse when you're stressed out. Um, I also think because so many of us look normal and can function normal, or most of us will put our pain aside from time to time to go try and enjoy life a little bit. Maybe you go to a family gathering, maybe you go out for dinner. You know, a lot of people seem to think if you've got chronic pain, how dare you leave the house, that you have to lay in bed moaning all day long. Well, if you do that, let's be honest, it's a short trip then from to depression and other, uh, we'll just say, bad places. Uh, you know, especially I've done some videos in the past about those hours between like 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. when it's very easy for those of us with chronic pain to get into dark places. Now don't get me wrong, if you got some jerk who just doesn't believe you or they're just trying to be a pain in the ass, then maybe you need to brush them back. Maybe you need to confront them straight up, and give them some tough love, so to speak. But I think by and large, people are not trying to be shitty to you. They're just trying to say something rather than just say nothing, just goodbye and give you a hug and walk off or whatever. So, um, you know, if people see you out and about, say you go to the family reunion, I know one of my least favorite events, or the holidays, we've all probably experienced where some hater look, haters talk about you to feel better about themselves. Normal people who are healthy and happy and enjoy their lives and feel good about themselves don't feel the need to go around shitting on other people. So when you got some hater, and Cat Williams talks about it, if you're hating, you're doing something right. If they're hating on you, that you should collect haters. If you got 3 on Monday, you should look to have 5 on Friday. Okay, treat haters like trading cards, because the more you do positive in your life, the more haters you're gonna catch, and we'll just leave that there. But if you've got somebody who really doesn't believe your condition, you know, you may want to confront them. Cancer's the big one. Everybody wants to kind of compare a lot of stuff to cancer. I've been told, at least you don't have cancer. Yeah, well, that's swell. But on the other hand, and not to disrespect anybody who's battling cancer, I've got lots of friends, and I lost my father to it, who have been through that battle. But you know what? If you've got cancer, you get treatment, you get better, or you expire. Let's just call it what it is, okay? You don't generally have and suffer with horrific pain from cancer for decades. Most people don't have cancer for decades. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. With the chronic pain condition, for a lot of us, we're looking at a long, ugly road, and we've got no idea how long it's going to go. But barring getting hit by a bus or something, you know, we can live with this shitty condition a very long time. So, when people want to compare it to, oh, well, you should be glad you don't have this or that. Look, if they're trying to be warm and they're trying, you got to kind of try and consider the intent. Okay. Um, Anybody who's raised a teenager knows any word can become an insult. Throw a little eye roll and attitude behind it, and it changes things completely. Hey, if anybody's in the chat and watching, I see 4 of you. Somebody throw me a thumbs up. Just let me know everything's running cool on the stream. So, you got to kind of consider the source. If people are being abusive to you, you may have to rein their shit in. You might have to check them and say, yeah, that sounds great. That I should be glad I don't have cancer, but nobody suffers with cancer for decades as a rule. Um, and like I said, everybody thinks they've had pain. Everybody thinks they can relate to your situation, and they can't. Okay, I will give you. Hey, thanks, Wanda. I will give you guys an example I often use for friends who have had pain, they don't have chronic pain, and they want to understand. Excuse me. And I call it my 20-ounce bottle example. And I stole it from somebody else on a video about a different topic that I don't know where I got it, so I can't even give credit to it. But I tell them, having pain short term is one thing, having pain long term is another. And of course, they can't truly get their mind around that. So I tell them, look, if you take a 20-ounce bottle of soda and you hold it out at arm's length, I don't think I can get my arms on it. Okay, you hold it out like this. It's no big deal. You're holding a 20-ounce bottle of soda. Okay? 10 minutes from now, it's a very different thing. I'm already starting to tremor, so I'm going to put that down before I cause a commotion. A half hour from now, it's going to be horrible. 30 minutes from now, you're going to wonder how you can keep holding it. If you had to hold that for a day, you probably wouldn't be able to do it. Okay? And that it wears on you. It gets worse over time. It compounds on itself and becomes more and more difficult to cope with. I mean, like I said, they're never going to fully understand, but that at least gives them some idea that the longer it goes on, the tougher it begins. And we ain't even going to begin to discuss the idea that they think they know what your pain scale's like, because a pain scale is something very personal to each person. The worst pain you've ever had is the worst pain you can imagine. Okay? You can't really appreciate or imagine a pain level that you've never experienced. Another thing I want to mention real quick while I'm on pain level ideas, when you go to your doctor, look at the pain scale. Obviously, they want to know 1 to 10, but look at the written examples. Okay, for example, at my I was recently at my orthopedic surgeons. I go see them every few months just to maintain a relationship with them for my disability paperwork and whatnot. And their pain scale at a 5 says you can only ignore the pain for short periods of time. Well, I've got another doctor I see where that's a 3 on their scale. Okay, some of them will say the worst pain you've ever had is a 10. Some will say the worst pain you can imagine is a 10. Some will say you're passing out, okay, is a 10. So it's important to look at the scale. I think the scale is kind of a shitty thing, but they're trying to do the best they can to understand where you're at. So, hey, Wanda, if you've got a question or a comment, feel free to type something in, because I'm getting pretty close to the end of my notes here. So, let's see. Everybody's had pain. Some people aren't going to believe you. People will say snide shit to you sometimes. I was talking about, possibly the holiday. Oh, thanks. Nice smile. Oh, I'm sorry. Nice simile. I'm sorry. Hey, Ada, good morning. Good to see you as always. you go to the holidays and you'll hear the shit. They think they're not as sly as they think they do, and I think we're in tune and we're listening. Oh well, he doesn't look like he's doing too bad. Well, I might have massive doses of opiates rolling through my system or some other painkiller. I might have laid in bed. Uh, for instance, I go to a church group on Tuesday nights. I'll just leave that with that. Grace Point, if you're ever in Vegas and you need to get your prey on, come see us up on Ann and Allen by the Aliante. There you go. Got my plug in for my church. Um, I go to Tuesday night Bible study, fellowship, whatever you want to call it. And they don't realize that I spend all day in bed Tuesday in preparation to go to my group. And then even then some nights I don't make it because I get about 1 3 hour block of time that I can be vertical and leave the house a day. So if it's physical therapy day and I go to the pool for my 2 hours, that's it. That's what we get. That's it. Back home, back in bed, up and down off the couch the rest of the day. That's it. That's all I got in me. So I get to plan one thing a day, and then generally I try and have a day in between. I go to the pool Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday are kind of my recovery days. Um, and I know I'm off on a tangent, but hey, what the hell? We're talking about the realities of things. But, I've taught them, literally told them, hey, when you see me, and I covered this, good to see you, good to be seen, we can leave it alone. There's days where I don't go because we usually have dinner and fellowship or Bible study, or maybe we play games, whatever, depending on the week. If I'm having trouble feeding myself because my fine motor skills are all jacked that day and I'm having trouble with a knife and fork, I'm not going to come put on a show for you. I don't feel like being a damn spectacle. And I get it. I'm not ashamed of it. I just don't care for the attention. And we all know that, some things make people socially uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, yeah, different recovery times. I will literally take a shower the night before, like if I have a doctor's appointment, or I will get up, shower, and it's hard to relate to people that, especially washing my hair, and whatnot, causes me so much pain that I have to shower, then I have to lay down for a while, then I can get dressed, then I'll usually lay down somewhere for a while again, and then I'll leave to go where I'm going. So it's a multi-hour process to get ready and leave the house. So, but yeah, they don't realize what it costs you. I think they also don't realize that, yeah, we may be in terrible pain, and I know there's a lot of controversy in the chronic pain community about the mental game of pain and distracting yourself and this and that. I'm not going to get off on a tangent too much on that, but I will say this. If there is a mental aspect to something like golf and sports, then there is definitely a mental aspect to managing your chronic pain. You're in charge of your disposition. You can try and distract and focus. I get it. There's times you can't get past the pain because it's horrific. Hey man, Gary, you have a great day. I'm glad you found that useful. I try to, I try to keep it real and give you guys examples and conversation you can use. So I thank you for tuning in, man. Um, I forgot where I was. I'm sorry. That happens to me a lot. I'll tell you, here's another thing that I didn't have this in my notes, but here's something people aren't aware of and they aren't prepared for, and I think is really kind of tough for me, especially. My chronic pain is one thing. I was talking about the mental aspect. Yes, you can try and distract yourself. There's days I can read a book and try and get lost in a book, and there's days I can't focus to read shit. I can't focus to watch a sitcom, which, let's face it, it's not like those are, high drama or take a whole lot of intelligence to follow a sitcom, let alone read a book and keep track of the plot and what's going on. So, you know, and that ties into something that most people I don't think have any awareness of, is that's the cognitive, neurological issues that can come with chronic pain due to lack of sleep. A lot of medications can have an effect on you. I call it getting pain drunk. I don't take a lot of pain related meds because, quite frankly, with my particular situation, most of them really don't help. A small dose of opiates makes it so I really can't focus on anything, including my pain. So that helps me, like if I'm going to ride in the car, when I'm going to do my physical therapy. But the cognitive uh, penalties, I can't, groping for words that you should know. I'll give you a perfect example. We have hummingbirds in Nevada. I was surprised living in the middle of the desert. They are thick out here. They're like sparrows were in Minnesota. I saw more hummingbirds in Las Vegas. I call it Vegas, the Vegas Valley, for all intents and purposes. People refer to it as Vegas, even though it's not actually the city of Las Vegas. Little trivia for you. Most people who have been to the Las Vegas Strip have never actually set foot in the city of Las Vegas proper. But I digress. Love hummingbirds, okay? Love them. They're thick out here. See them all the time. One day I was trying to talk about them and I couldn't come up with the name hummingbirds. And I know the word hummingbirds. I can, I talk about them. I see them all the time. And I just couldn't get the word because my pain level was really high. I was a little pain drunk, so to speak. So I referred to them as, the tiny buzzy birds, because I just couldn't get it. Yep, memory problems, cognitive problems. When it gets really bad, it can be really, I'll call it what it is. It can be scary. I was in Walmart, and I've been in this Walmart 100 times, okay? And I'm looking at the bread aisle, and I knew I was out of sorts because I had spent probably a literal 5 minutes trying to decide if I should buy yellow corn taco shells or white corn taco shells. And your decision making ability seems to just kind of go out the damn window sometimes. And the next thing you knew, I was completely lost in this familiar place. I didn't know where the door was. And my wife was off getting something else because we often tag team the shopping so we can get out of there. And finally, she comes back to the aisle, and I'm standing there, and I'm not panicked, but I'm teary-eyed. And she goes, "What's the matter?" I said, "I don't know where I'm at." She goes, "Sweetie, you're in Walmart." I said, "I get that, but I don't know what direction the freezer section is. I know it. I know I should know it, but I can't recall. I don't know where the front door is. I don't know what to do." And it was really a sickening, unsettling, helpless feeling. It was bad. It's definitely not. I don't know how to explain. If you have, it's again, if you haven't been there, you probably don't know. But people will often, the point I was making, if they see you out having a good time, they have no idea what it costs you. Exactly, it's frustrating and it's scary. Fortunately, I'm blessed to have an awesome wife who takes great care of me and does her best to understand. So I would be pretty much lost without her. No other way to put it. But, you know, they'll snicker. Oh, he must not be doing too bad. Look, he's smiling. Well, sometimes you got to take somebody aside and say, look, I know it looks like this and this, but I can't lay in bed and moan and groan all the time. I'll blow my fucking head off. Okay, there. I went there, okay? Depression brings suicidal thoughts. It's a thin, thin line, baby, between, suicide and euthanasia when you've got pain that's never going to stop and only get worse. Okay, I can only relate to this on the level that my mom, uh, she refused kidney dialysis, and at the time she did that, I had a hard time understanding because she had spinal issues and had been bedridden for many years. And I'm not going to say that I would do something like that, but when my pain has been at its worst, we tell ourselves little lies. We play mental games with ourselves, and I'm just being real with you guys. that I wouldn't do that. But I could see at that point how somebody else, not me, of course, no, not me, but I could see why somebody who maybe isn't as strong as me or somebody else might be inclined to make that type of choice. I could see how it might be possible. But on the other hand, I've got a dozen friends or so in the last 12 months that took their lives because they lost their meds. So we'll just leave that there. So, we tell ourselves, I wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I can't understand. But there comes a point, you know, especially between that 2 and 4 a.m. So getting way off topic there, and I don't need to get all teary eyed to right now. I'm having a pretty decent morning, so we'll just leave that alone. Speaking of teary-eyed, before I got my spinal cord stimulator, I used to have. I would be standing with somebody and talking to them. I'm perfectly fine. I'm not emotionally upset, but the pain would be at a level that tears would run down my face. And I was talking about things being socially awkward and making people uncomfortable. That was a big one. I'd be like checking out at the grocery store with tears running down my cheeks, and I always carried a Kleenex and wipe them off. And of course, are you all right? Are you okay? I'm fine. Just ring my shit and let me get out of here. It's. I'm not upset. Everything's as okay as it can be. Let's just move it along. But and I understand they're trying to be concerned, but I'll tell you what. Once somebody comes to your house to visit you and you're in that condition and you're sitting calmly and having a conversation while crying, or crying infers, it's not that I'm too manly to cry, that you're upset and you're and just having a casual conversation with tears running down your face because your pain level is so high, it makes them uncomfortable enough people quit coming around. So, but yeah, I mean, people who are going to judge you, people who are going to be haters, they're going to hate. That's what they do. Like Cat Williams says. I'll quote him again because I got love in my heart for Cat. He's put so much truth in his comedy. You know, haters are going to hate. Just let them do their job and don't let it bother you. But yeah, you get the snide comments from some people. Some people are going to believe it. Some people aren't. You got to weigh whether or not they're worth your time and energy and aggravation, okay? Your cousin's husband who doesn't think you really have anything wrong with you and you just need to eat a lot of broccoli and get more exercise, fuck him, okay? I'm in a vulgar mood apparently today with my language, but it is what it is. Um, oh yeah, people quit coming to see you. You'll find out real quick who your real friends are. I had dozens of friends when I was healthy, and I lived literally 3 miles from my work, and a total of 9 people came to see me in 8 months that I was housebound. 9. And actually, 4 of them were couples. So 4 of those people there were 2 couples made up 4 of them, and then there were 5 other people that came by, and most of them came by maybe once. Because you know what? When they see the show up close, they lose interest. They don't necessarily want to see anymore. They've seen enough. And here's another thing. Okay, I already talked about the haters. How much money, how much time and energy you want to put into people who just want to hate, ain't gonna understand, whatever. That's up to you. Sometimes it feels good to blast an asshole, you know, and make them look like the jerk that they are. Sometimes it's just not worth your time and effort. You've got to decide that for yourself. Again, it goes back to intention. If they're trying to be nice, if they're trying to be loving, and they are putting their foot in their mouth, that's one thing. If they're just trying to be an ass, then maybe you've got to, emotionally knuck up, and let them have a little, and point out to them how ridiculous or how insensitive they're being. Um, I'm trying to look at my notes here quick, so forgive me. Here's the other reason why I think a lot of people have trouble with chronic pain. That they have it with all illnesses, but they especially have it with chronic pain because we tend to look so normal. When we're out, we tend to be able to move. People call it faking being normal. I don't fake shit anymore. If I'm having a hard time, I'm having a hard time. And we adapt to things that allow us to function and appear normal. For instance, if I'm going to the grocery store, I don't care if I'm just getting a loaf of bread, I take a cart because I can lean on the cart, I walk on the cart. I will stop in an aisle and look at something I have no intention of buying because I need to stop walking for a few minutes and just kind of catch my breath and get my feet back under me, so to speak. My wife has come up, what are you looking at that for? I said, because I just needed a break. And I don't want to just stand here staring at the damn shelf and looking like an asshole. Okay, so I will, we do little things and we make little adaptations. But here's one of the other problems, especially with chronic pain, because as I covered, I don't know of any other condition that you suffer with at the level we can suffer with it for as long. Cancer patients generally aren't looking at decades of problems. Yes, other neurological disorders, Parkinson's, some things like that may or may not actually be painful. You may be looking at for decades, but things like cancer, like I said, here's the reason I think I get pulled back to cancers. Because if you tell somebody you got cancer, you can have the most benign, non-life threatening, you could have skin cancer of your pinky toe. And people got nothing but love and support and sympathy and heartfelt, oh my God, for you, all of that. Because you got the big C, you got cancer. And I'm not trying to diminish or shit on people who have cancer, okay? But if you got cancer, shit stops. Everybody's in your corner. You got fundraisers. You got this. You got that. The American Cancer Society people will check in on you, okay? Because you got cancer, and everybody's life has been touched by cancer, pretty much. Everybody knows somebody. Yeah, like I said, Carol, I covered it a little earlier, and you may not have been in here yet. At some point, if they're just trying to wish you well with the "Hey, I hope you feel better," you got to just take it with listen to the intent, disregard the words. I use the example of the stupid shit people say at a funeral because they don't know what else to say and they want to say something. Um, but one of the reasons I think people are so resistant to chronic pain-related illnesses and problems is if they accept and believe it can happen to you and they believe you about just how crippling, devastating, and how it touches every aspect of your life. Some just can't cope with that reality because if it can happen to you, then it can happen to them. And their psyche can't handle the idea that tomorrow, next week, one car crash away, one disc slip away, one freak occurrence, one illness away, their whole life could change because people like to live in this bubble of security. People who have been in the military and come back and talk about traumatic stress, and once you get out behind the levels of security, there's no police, there's no fire department, there's no government that's going to come to your rescue, and it's just you in peril. Okay, and you strip away those layers of security, people get uh, really uncomfortable, and it's hard to transition back from that. Okay, so people don't want to give up that idea. We all rely on something. As a person of faith, I don't know, quite frankly, what I'd do without my faith because that helps me immensely. But people want to think they're okay and they're safe and they're above life's trials or whatever because they've got X number of dollars in the bank or they've got kids or they've got this house or that card or this status symbol or whatever that they feel gives them comfort. It makes them feel like they're safe and they're secure and everything's okay. I guess at some point I had to learn to yeah, I do believe worrying sometimes brings things on, Samantha. I absolutely do believe that happens sometimes. Um, and when you focus on things, you can make them feel much bigger than they are. Um, yeah, Carol, I hear you. I didn't have a car crash or anything like that. I just got bad genetics, which seems to make it all the harder for people to wrap their mind around. Plus, I'm 6'2". I go about 300 pounds. I'm probably just a little too small to play pro ball and a little too stupid to have gone on to make a fortune. But yeah, people want to live in their bubble of security, and when you threaten that bubble, they can act in really unpredictable, bizarre ways. Hating is just one of them. Some will avoid you and leave, not come by because they can't deal with the reality that Jesus, I knew this person 6 months ago, and now he can barely walk. You know, it shakes their reality. And that's why some of them have got to hate. Some of them will avoid you. Some of them feel awkward. Some of them just aren't comfortable around you. Um, it is how it is. So I think that's really another reason why um, people have a hard time with those of us who are chronically ill, and especially those of us who have pain conditions. So, wow, it looks like we're up to 9 live viewers, which is pretty much a new record for me, I do believe. I want to remind you guys that if you've got a topic or a question you want to have, or a show suggestion, help me help you guys. Leave it in the comments. Send me an email at josephofborg@gmail.com. I want to talk about things that are going to be beneficial to you guys. I've been dealing with chronic pain for many years, and I've been through most of the major pain management disciplines. Excuse me, I got a coffee here. I've tried to adjust my mic so you guys don't have to hear me swallow because that's not exactly pleasant. Um, I've had radio frequency ablations. I've had injections. I came to the fork in the road. The radio frequency ablations worked. They didn't last long enough. I took the fork in the road of either, I guess I should say I hit the fork in the road to either do a pain pump or a spinal cord stimulator. Personally, I went with the spinal cord stimulator for several reasons. Uh, we can talk about that. Uh, I haven't seen the new Picard trailer, but I plan to check it out. I do like Star Trek. I think they kind of went a little wonky for a little bit, but Picard is something I definitely want to check out. I joke with my wife that I'm the only person probably who watches the Borg episodes and roots for the Borg since I'm part of them now that I've got my implants. So, but yeah, I was forced with either the pain pump or the spinal cord stimulator. I went with the spinal cord stimulator, which works great for my lumbar spine. I went from being housebound / bedridden for about 8 months back to standing on the casino floor with no medication at all. After I got my implant, unfortunately, my cervical spine also had issues, and in 2015, I had a 3-level fusion because my condition had gotten bad enough. I was having trouble with my fine motor skills, doing things like even trying my shoes. So, in the interest of trying to, you would like to hear about the SCS versus the pain pump. You know what? I'm going to put that down. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tease you with it. I'll do that one next week. In fact, I'm going to see if I can't get a guest on because I got a guy that knows more about pain pumps than most people. He's forgotten more about pain pumps than most people have ever learned. Okay? In a nutshell, my pain had never responded well to opiate-based medications, so I didn't want to pursue the pain pump for that reason. I also didn't want to have refills and whatnot, so that's why I chose to go electric. But we will talk about that. I will put some information together for that next week, and some resources for you if you really want to study into that, because I happen to have the guy, so to speak. He's to pain pumps what I am to spinal cord stimulators. For those of you who don't know, I run a Facebook group called Spinal Cord Stimulator Success Stories and a Facebook page because, especially when I was researching them, there was very little information out there, and it seems like all you hear about is the horror shows. with any major surgery, whether it's a joint replacement, a spinal fusion, or a spinal cord stimulator or whatever, the successes go back to having a life. They're not hanging out in uh, support groups and complaining and bitching. So I got it written down. That'll be next week's topics. So, but I'm going to be getting ready to go here pretty soon. Um, I'm hitting pretty much the max on my sit time. Uh, Reach out to me. Let me know what you want to hear about. Let me know what you want to talk about. Like I said, I've been dealing with chronic pain for at least a decade. Been through most of the chronic pain management techniques that my uh, clinic had to offer. I've been blessed to have some really excellent doctors during my adventure, and that's not the case for everybody. So, just like with the spinal cord stimulators, which are unique and not like any other surgery, I want to help people who have, oh, we got a cervical stim. Hey, cool. Not an option. I'm going to pursue it this time for a variety of reasons, and maybe when I talk about spinal cord stimulators, I'm going to talk about why. Excuse me while I write, such as it is. Um, for those who are just starting the chronic pain journey, again, I talked last week about the uh, process of accepting and adjusting, and after you get your diagnosis, how do you go on to having a life? How do you move beyond that? Um, Hey, Samantha, you have a blessed Sunday too. I thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week. Um, so yeah, like I said, I've been a member of the chronic pain community for a long time. I've been in the chronic pain online communities pretty much since there's been an online community, and that's my goal, is to help bring you guys value, because I respect your time and I respect you tuning in. So I really hate to just get it on here and ramble. So um, I will sign off on that note. Leave me a note. Excuse me. Leave me a comment. Contact me, JosephofBorg at gmail.com. You can call the number. Somebody think about trying to call in next week live, mainly because I really want to test out the tech. I think I've got every single bug worked out on the Borg phone, but I haven't had a call lately to check it out. So, with that, Joseph of Borg, one love to you, and I am out of here. See you next week. And don't forget to share this with somebody that you think might benefit, and let's see if we can't get up into double digits for viewers. I'm out.